Good afternoon, and welcome to McFarland Middle School. My name is Mark Sanders, and I proudly serve as the principal of McFarland Middle School. We are proud to be a part of the announcement of our citywide enrollment numbers and would like to acknowledge Mayor Bowser, Deputy Mayor Kinn, State Superintendent Kang, and our Chancellor, Chancellor Farabee. We would also like to welcome everyone who's visiting with us today. Thank you for your commitment to our school and to our neighborhood schools across the city. As well as being the principal of McFarland, I am also the proud parent of a 7th grader here at the school. I still remember our first day of the McFarland reopening, where we welcomed 70 students into our school. Last year, as the mayor was here last, cutting our ribbon to the newly remodeled building, we had 380 students. And this year, we are serving 560 students here at McFarland Middle School, making us the second largest freestanding middle school in the city. As we've grown, my team and I are committed to ensure that the community and our parents know the wonderful things that are offered here at McFarland: a high-quality education, a bilingual program where students can continue their bilingual education that they started in elementary, or some students to begin in bilingual education. A global studies program where students can gain a more global perspective on the different situations and problems in the world. Additionally, we have high-quality clubs and partnerships, including Global Kids, who's taken our students across the city and across the nation to explore their world and open up their eyes to different interests at this important age. And finally, a high-quality athletic program where we have been, for the past 2 years, taken our boys baseball team to the city championship and lost twice to deal. But we're going to win one of these years. And most importantly, we have the most amazing students in the city. I'm a little biased, but they're definitely the best in my book. And I would like to introduce two of them. We have Brian Zacarias and Shai Walker, who are going to introduce our mayor.
Good afternoon. My name is Shai Walker, and I am a 7th grade student here at McFarland. I am excited to welcome you to McFarland Middle School. I chose to attend McFarland because I think McFarland is well developed. It is a bilingual school with many rich cultures. Also, it has many opportunities, and it has a very high ranking. We also have the coolest principal. Now, I would like to introduce our mayor. She has invested in education across the city and in our beautiful new school building. Please join me in welcoming our mayor, Muriel Bowser.
Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Brian Zacarias y soy un estudiante del 8º grado aquí en McFarland. Me da placer darle las bienvenidas a la Escuela Intermedia McFarland. Yo decidí asistir a McFarland porque está abierta para todo el mundo. Es una escuela muy prestigiosa, tiene buenos maestros y una educación muy buena, y ellos quieren mucho a los estudiantes. Ahora, me gustaría presentar a nuestra alcaldesa. Ella ha invertido en la educación en toda la ciudad y también en nuestra nueva escuela magnífica. Por favor, ayúdenme en darle la bienvenida a nuestra alcaldesa, Muriel Bowser.
Thank you, sweetie. Thank you so much. Let's give Brian and Shai a big round of applause. Thank you so much for that lovely introduction. And it's always fantastic to be here in McFarland. Principal Sanders, I want to thank you for your wonderful leadership. I was so excited. We were together for the DCPS Back to School cookout, and when you told me the number of students who were here, I was completely blown away. And it is certainly a testament to your investment and in your leadership, and then in the hard work that the teachers and staff do here each and every day. But most importantly, it's a testament to the wonderful children and families who choose McFarland. I want to acknowledge the members of my public education team who are here. Hansel Kang, who is the superintendent of the Office of the State Superintendent for Education for the district. Louis Farabee, who is the Chancellor of DC Public Schools, and Paul Kine, who is the Deputy Mayor for Education for the District of Columbia. So what we just heard from the principal is magnificent. Some people have been around a long time, like me, who know the story of McFarland. And it's not too long ago where there were only 70 students here. And there were 6 teachers, a few support staff, and the building was wanting for much needed attention. There were some tough decisions made about McFarland. In fact, pausing on McFarland for a while, closing the school to reset, to refurbish the building, and to come back with a totally new curriculum. So when we look at the numbers now from 70 to 560, we know that those numbers are proof that when we listen and work with the community, when we look at the needs of our students, when we build the programming and facilities that our students and staff deserve, families will choose to go to middle school right in their own neighborhood. It is not just here at McFarland, it's citywide. For the 11th consecutive year, I am proud to announce student enrollment is up in our public schools. Today, we have more than 94,000 students, 94,603 to be exact, in our public schools. That is a 1.7% increase over last year. And one thing that we love about McFarland is your motto, never give up and never give in. And that is the story of not only your incredible growth, but what we have seen across our public schools. I'm going to share with you another number. In 2007, just over 71,000 students enrolled in our public schools. And today, we are over 94,000. We are so grateful to bold and dynamic leadership, but also to the support of DC taxpayers who put public education on the top of the investments that they want to make for a growing city. I want to tell you another number. DCPS, the numbers I have given already reflect DC public schools and DC public charter schools. And I want to announce that DC public schools have achieved a milestone this school year. For the first time since 2006, enrolling more than 50,000 students. So I want to congratulate all the hardworking teachers, administrators, PTAs, coaches, and everyone who has been a part of the transformation of public education in our city. So with that, I'm going to turn to our Superintendent for Education, Hansel Kang, followed by the Chancellor of DC Public Schools, Louis Farabee, and then we will address your questions.
Thank you, Mayor Bowser. I want to start by echoing the mayor's sentiments. This is truly exciting news for public schools across the District of Columbia as we have reached the threshold of more than 94,000 students, and a particularly exciting moment for DCPS as they cross the 50,000 student threshold for the first time since 2006. So congratulations to Chancellor Farabee and everyone from the DCPS team. For me, the overall 1.7% increase in our enrollment and DCPS's impressive 4% increase are a clear indication that families are increasingly confident in our public schools and the quality of education that our children are receiving across our city. At the state level, enrollment numbers have shown steady gains every year since the 2008-09 school year, growing from 70,919 students in that year to 94,603 students today, an increase of nearly 24,000 students over that time period. While the public charter sector this year saw a slight drop in enrollment numbers compared to prior school years, decreasing from 43,960 last year to 43,556 this year, charter school enrollment has nearly doubled since the 2007-08 school year and has seen steady growth over time. As the mayor said, these state-level increases from 93,016 to 94,603 are a testament to the hard work of our educators and leaders all across our city in all of our schools, and the work they are doing every day to improve student outcomes for everyone from our youngest learners all the way up through our high school students and our adult learners. This month at OSSE, we are celebrating teacher leadership and outstanding educators, and there's a lot to celebrate across our city. Earlier this month, we honored Justin Lopez Cardozi, our 2020 DC Teacher of the Year, and this week I will be visiting McKinley Technology High School to meet with Alicia Butler, who was recently named the National History Teacher of the Year. We also just announced that 4 teachers across the district representing DCPS, DC Public Charter Schools, and private schools received the Presidential Award for Excellence in Math and Science Teaching, the highest honor in our nation for math and science teachers. So we are so fortunate to have outstanding educators like these individuals across our schools in DC, and we will continue to spotlight and learn from excellent teachers and school leaders who are doing amazing work to support all of our students. These enrollment increases show me that the work we are doing is on the right track as we continue to make improvements so that more and more students can benefit from the continued progress we are making in student outcomes across the district. Finally, I wanted to note that while we are certainly excited by the gains we are seeing statewide and at DCPS, these are preliminary numbers for the school year based on a snapshot of data certified by local education agencies earlier this month. This year, as we have each year, OSSE continues an enrollment audit and certification process that takes several months, and while we don't anticipate enrollment numbers will shift significantly, we will be releasing final audited enrollment numbers for this school year in early 2020, and we look forward to sharing those. Now I have the pleasure of introducing DC Public Schools Chancellor Louis Farabee.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I am extremely proud to serve the district as chancellor and extremely proud that more families are choosing DCPS and our public schools as their first choice option. We recognize that families have many choices to make as they think about the best learning environment for their students and their families, and we're pleased again that more families are choosing DCPS. And in fact, more families are also choosing their neighborhood school. So as we think about our priority, our goal is to ensure that there is confidence in the neighborhood school and that families know that there's a great option at every grade level in every community. Want to be specific about numbers. So yes, we met the milestone above 50,000 students. I'm pleased to report that our enrollment is actually 51,000 students. And this is a significant increase for the District of Columbia Public Schools, and that we reported last year about 49,000 students. So if you do the math, you can see we've had a gain of 4%, which equates to about 2,000 more students in the District of Columbia Public Schools. We're also pleased, that we are seeing this growth across the district. So similar to what we've seen here at McFarland, we're also seeing it at other middle schools like Hart Middle School as well. We're seeing more of our families choosing their high school options. This is the first time in years that we've seen a significant increase in our 9th grade students, which means that more students are choosing to attend our high school options in addition to our elementary and middle schools. So this is something that we are pleased to be in a position that we're excited about, but we know we still have more work to do. And that involves ensuring that we're building our confidence and offering students a well-rounded experience on our campus. And we can't do that without the investment and the leadership of our mayor. So Mayor Bowser, thank you so much for supporting public education in the city, and to our taxpayers who have invested in amazing facilities like we're in today. And also, I would want to shout out our educators, our school leaders, our door knockers, those that are out in the community, ensuring that families know about all the great options that we have to offer. And also remind the community that we're upon enrollment season now. And so just in a few weeks, in November, December, we'll start the enrollment process where families can participate in our Ed Fest, our Feeder Fest, and other experiences to learn about the great opportunities that we offer. So again, exciting day for us. We have a capital commitment goal of ensuring that we are 54,000 students strong by the 2022, and we are well on our way, and we're excited about it. Thank you for the opportunity to share the great news today.
Thank you. So the team is here to answer all of your hard questions. Who's first? Sam.
I recall that it was said basically in this area DCPS was given up.
Who said that?
I did.
Okay.
Because there really weren't very many middle schools in DCPS in this particular area. How do you get from 77 to 500? How do you do that?
Well, I'm gonna ask the experts behind me to weigh in on that equation. But for my part, Sam, and many people have questioned how we get there. But we know when we have outstanding programs and curriculum in close by, and when we respond to what the neighborhood trends tell us. Councilmember Todd has said frequently that just before he was elected, there were no standalone middle schools in Ward 4, and now we have 2. And so what the communities have told us and all of the feeders is they want quality programs and they want them close to home. Thus, McFarland Middle School was reopened and Ida B. Wells was reopened. And the chancellor has also shared with me similar trends. He just mentioned Hart Middle School and other parts of the city. This is also very important because we know the history of our city is oftentimes people who believed in public education in the early years started to make different decisions in the middle years. We know when we gain the confidence of families in the middle years that we will continue to see the growth in our public schools.
You had options now. They really didn't have options before.
We have many, many more. Chancellor.
Yeah. I also want to reiterate the point that our school leaders are doing an excellent job of reaching down to their feeder schools. And so being really intentional with our middle school principals engaging with their feeder elementary schools, our high school principals engaging with their feeder middle schools, ensuring that there's excitement across the K-12 continuum as we think about our neighborhood schools. And more families are excited about what they're hearing from their school leaders. You heard from Principal Sanders today, not only the academic model is strong, but the extracurriculars that families look for in a middle school experience are also strong. And I anticipate as we have more and more conversations with our feeder schools, more families will choose their feeder middle school and also their feeder high school.
Yes, Perry?
Yeah, this is for whoever wants to answer this one. Charters saw their first decline in enrollment, I think, and I know it was slight since '96 when they arrived. Charters had a difficult year, a lot of closures, a lot of handovers, but there's also 5 new charter schools slated to open next year, but also a bunch up for review. How do you plan for that? I mean, what do you expect to see in charters next year? There seems to be a lot of question marks in their enrollment trends. How do you plan for what's happening?
Sure. I'm going to ask Deputy Mayor Kine to respond. But for my part, let me just say this, that one of the big ideas behind the charter movement is that schools that are successful stay open and schools that are not close. And so we shouldn't be surprised by that trend. And actually what we're looking at for this school year is a slight decrease. I think the superintendent mentioned about 1,000 kids. Last year was also a slight decrease. But as you mentioned, we do expect different options. We don't know if parents which options parents will choose. Certainly, we think we want to have effective schools close to every family, no matter where they live. And that's how we go into the discussion. Paul.
Yes, thank you. And Perry, I think just to reiterate something the mayor said, the charter sector is actually doing exactly what the charter sector promised to do, which was to open new schools and then to close the ones that were not working. I think the question we have to ask ourselves today as a city is we are at this extraordinary moment of opportunity as all schools across the district continue to improve and as we're seeing population growth. So the question now is, how can we ensure across our entire system that we are meeting the needs of the system as a whole and meeting the needs of all families? Yes, families want strong quality school options. They also want good schools close to home. But some families want dual language programs like we have here at McFarland. Some families want strong career and technical education programs. And I think we're at a moment where we have to ask ourselves as a city, how can we plan effectively together to ensure that we're meeting the needs of all families in all parts of the city, potentially in some new ways.
And I just want to clarify, charter sector, this is the first year in recent time that they have decreased, right?
I believe it's the second year. We'll follow up the specifics, yeah.
How does it break down now, public, charter, public, school, DCPS? The percentages, how does it break down with DCPS and DC Public Charter?
The increase in population. Can you answer that, Consul?
Yeah, we can share the exact percentages, but as a city, we were up 1.7% compared to last year, and DCPS was up 4%.
You don't, off the top of your head, no.
I don't have the math off the top of my head, but we can share with you.
Yes. And I got a little picture of general trends that we saw in enrollment, and I saw that there was an increase in students attending alternative high schools, and you had mentioned the increase in ninth graders, but a decrease, it seemed, in the other grades. In high school. What are we seeing more kids go to alternative high school after they finish ninth grade? What's going on there?
So we have seen an uptick in students that have expressed interest in our Opportunity Academies. I believe the Opportunity Academy school leaders and their staff has done a great job explaining to families what that option offers to students. We've seen a number of students that are interested in the online instruction that allows students to accelerate their experiences in the classroom and earn course credits. We've also seen an uptick of students who may be overage or adult learners take advantage of the Opportunity campuses as well. It's also important to note that many of the Opportunity campus offer elements for career and technical education. So, for example, right next door at Roosevelt, we have cosmetology, we have barbering, and other options for students to explore as part of the Opportunity Academy experience. So we're pleased that students who believe they need a different option or are interested in a non-traditional experience for high school are taking advantage of the Opportunity and alternative education campuses that we have to offer.
Okay, yes.
If the district expects to see a continued growth in students, you mentioned over the last 10 years about 24,000 students have increased. How does the district prepare for that significant number of increase in students?
It's a very, very good question, and one that my office spends a lot of time thinking about. We did the Master Facilities Plan, which was a very significant document last year to think about whether we've got the facility footprint and facility capacity that we need to meet that growth. But importantly, while we actually do have capacity in many of our schools to actually absorb more students who enter, we also need to address this question about, are we providing the kinds of school options that families want? So are our neighborhoods strong, as neighborhood schools strong, as the Chancellor was talking about? Do we have other kinds of options based on parent and family needs and interests? And so all of that goes into this equation about how we prepare best for future growth. And I think we're well on our way, as you can see by the results that we're talking about today. But those are all important questions that we need to continue to grapple with as we move forward.
Of what the capacity is for what schools can absorb or the system can absorb?
All of that is available on our public-facing website called Edscape, which is run out of my office. So all of that data is available.
Okay, thanks.
So can you talk about any geographic trends that you saw? Are you seeing the same things in Ward 1 as Ward 5, as Ward 7, as Ward 8? I mean, what's happening in some of the different wards?
For DCPS, we've seen it across all 8 wards, so they're not specific geographic trends that we can call out today. But I would say that, as I mentioned earlier, it's important to note that our secondary schools are seeing greater recapture rates. It's also important to note, again, these are preliminary numbers, but we have about 85% of our families are choosing to come back, which is another positive trend that we see across all 8 wards as well. So I want to call out specifically the middle school and high school gains, and also more families choosing their neighborhood schools, but that's happening across all communities.
Anacostia, Ballou, which have seen steep declines in recent
years?
Yeah,
so for example, you mentioned Anacostia. Anacostia exceeded their enrollment projections. There are other schools close by in those communities we could point to as well. So again, these are not geographic specific gains that we've seen. However, we want to ensure that we continue to have schools like Anacostia collaborate with their middle school, Kramer, and their feeder elementary schools to continue the excitement around this K-12 continuum that I've outlined today in terms of our feeder schools.